I equate storytelling with dancing. For me, storytelling is just like dancing. All right, here's a question for you. How many of you like to dance? Give me a yes if you like to dance. Give me a yes in the chat window. And give me a couple of exclamation marks if you really love to dance. The number of exclamation marks would tell me how much you really like dancing. Okay, Amrita's got like 10. Oh, wow. Deepika's got a lot of I like dancing, Malik. Yeah, okay. You like dancing. Great. Mayank's just got exclamation marks. Can't get enough. Yeah, Anita, absolutely. So you love dancing, right? Here's the next question, all right? How many of you like dancing without alcohol? Some of the yeses may change, but that's all right. I'm just pulling a fast one. That's all right. Whether you like to have a drink or not is not the point. But here's the point. We all love to dance, but there comes a time where we start becoming a little unsure because storytelling is just like dancing. Storytelling is just like dancing. And like in dancing, and so in storytelling, we go through 5 stages. We go through 5 stages of dancing and 5 stages of storytelling. And let me show you the first stage right there. The first stage is the child state. Now look at these kids. Look at this picture. Look at these kids. They don't have any clothes on. They've got their underpants on. They don't care who's watching. Just look at the glee. Just look at the joy on their faces. Just see that expression. Tummy is sticking out, underpants, really happy and enjoying their dance. And that's how kids dance. That's how kids tell stories. They dance like no one is watching. That's the first level. Dancing like no one is watching. All of us have been there. All of us have been there. Telling stories, whether people believe it or not, doesn't make a difference. My daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, it's 9 now, 8-year-old daughter, when she used to come back from school last year, she'd come back and tell me about the unicorns that she would feed in schools. She would tell me the entire story. Whether I believed in it or not, doesn't matter. If she has a story to tell me, she will tell me a story. Dancing like no one is watching. And then this child moves to the next level of becoming the awkward teen. And this is where my elder daughter, Keisha, is. She's 15 now. From dancing like no one is watching, we move to dancing like everyone is watching. Extremely self-conscious. How many of you remember that stage of us as teenagers when it came to dancing and therefore communicating as well? Because that's the link I'm drawing, right? So dancing like everyone is watching. And then we eventually come to this confidence stage. And before I went to go to the confidence stage, it's so interesting to see this difference between a child and an awkward teen. And it's so relevant to our storytelling as well. Both my daughters, they have very different ways of communicating. But their ways of communicating were quite similar. My younger daughter comes back from school, kicks her shoes, comes back, runs to me and says, Papa, pata aaj school mein kya hua, ye hua, and then Daisy kicked me, and then Mrs. Moses said this, and I did this, and this happened, and that happened. She'll go on and go on and go on. My elder daughter comes in. I ask her, so how was school? She looks at me and she says, fine. I said, what happened? Nothing. Now, this is a concerned parent of a teenager trying to strike a conversation, right? So I said, okay, no problem. So what would you like to have for dinner tonight, sweetheart? And she looks at me and goes, whatever, right? Monosyllable responses, right? And it's interesting, when the two of them, we went to a restaurant recently, and about a year back, actually, and this restaurant was playing some music. It wasn't a dancing place, just a regular restaurant with booths, and they were playing some music. And my younger one, 8, elder one, that time she was 14. And suddenly the restaurant started playing the song Despacito. How many of you have heard Despacito? Give me a yes. You heard that song? Despacito. No. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Okay, great. So you know the song, right? Great. So the guy started playing Despacito, and my younger daughter, God bless her, thank God she doesn't know the lyrics, but she loves that song, and the song started playing, and in the middle of the restaurant, she stands up from the booth, stands in the middle of the restaurant. There are booths, and in the middle there's this place to walk where the waiters move around, the servers. Kyra stands up and she starts dancing. And she's dancing, she's having a good time, she's enjoying herself, and suddenly I see my elder daughter sitting there with us going, Kyra, come back, what are you doing? Kyra, come back. And I look at Keisha and I say, Keisha, what's wrong? What's the problem? She says she's dancing. I said, I can see that. What's your problem? She said, but everyone is watching. I said, okay. And he said, it's embarrassing. I said, it's clearly not embarrassing for her. Why is it embarrassing you? Everyone is watching, right? Dancing like everyone is watching. The self consciousness stops us from doing the most amazing things in life. And then, as a teenager, from an awkward teen, we become a confident teen, the third stage, very short lived stage where we start, instead of dancing like everyone is watching, now because we mastered a few moves, we move to dancing because everyone is watching. Because now at least there are 2 3 songs on which I can dance and I want to show off, right? So I grew up in the cantonment area and we had a lot of parties, a lot of 4G parties happening. And for me, this moment, this confident teen moment, very short-lived moment in dancing came when the song Macarena came. Now the song Macarena is the most process-oriented dance. You can create an Excel sheet on it, right? You can run macros on it also, right? 1 to the 11 steps, right? You can't go wrong. It's the easiest thing to do, right? How many of you remember Macarena? Give me a yes if you remember Macarena. I just want to check whether we're talking the same language. All right, great. You know it, right? And whenever that song would play, I would go there because I wanted to show off one thing that I knew, right? Short-lived stage. But then, after the confident teen stage, a very unfortunate event happens in our life. An extremely unfortunate event. And that unfortunate event is that we become adults. We become adults and we join our first company. 13 steps, Rohit says. Okay, maybe not 11, Rohit. I'll give you that, right? Don't test me on my Macarena dance right now. I'll fail terribly. But the unfortunate thing that happens is that we become adults. And if you remember your first job, the first day, the first week, you go through an induction program, whichever company you would have joined. And you literally, somebody puts the Varmal on you, the, what do you call it? With your iCard, the thing that defines us, right? We get that identity, right? The lanyard. And as we get that, as we wear that, we literally take an oath in our heads. From today, I'm going to be a professional. From today, I'm going to do the things right. From today, I'm going to focus on my goals, on my ambition, and all the right things. But our definition of being a professional is a little warped sometimes. And we decide to become really, really straitjacketed. And we go back to dancing like everyone is watching. Overly self-conscious about the way we express. And God forbid if any one of you actually tried storytelling in a presentation a few years back and one of the senior leaders who was sitting through your presentation looked at you and said, hey, don't tell me the story yet. Come on, move on. You're like, oh my God, stories are bad. Never tell stories, right? So we become adults, dancing like everyone is watching, going back to the awkward teen stage. And then finally, as we grow older, we go back to the childlike state of not caring and dancing like no one is watching. Why do you think some of the best dancers are really old people and kids, especially at weddings, right? And also think about it, some of the best storytellers are kids and old people because if they've got a story to tell you, they will tell you that story. So I don't know where you are in dancing, but the question really is, where are you in storytelling? And because a lot of storytelling, a lot of our ability to tell stories in the boardroom, in a virtual setup, to hundreds of people, in a coaching conversation, with a client when you're making a pitch, your ability to tell a story is directly proportionate to what you think about storytelling. Is about what you think about dancing in a restaurant. That's what it equates to. And therefore, I often say that the stories we tell ourselves often stop us from telling the stories we must. I can't tell you about the number of situations, number of times where I've been in a coaching conversation with a client and we've come up with a narrative for a business pitch or for an investor deck. We've come up with a great narrative. I can't tell you the number of times the client has looked at me and said, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. I can't start with a personal story. With my board of directors, you've got to be kidding me. I really can't. It's not going to work. I can't tell you the number of times they've said it and the number of times they've actually done it and it's worked. But the point is when they say that, it's not going to work, my only question to them is I ask them, how do you know? Have you done this? They say, no, I just know. I say, how do you know? Are you Nostradamus? Even he ended up making quite a few mistakes, right? Apparently, what we're going through now should have happened a couple of years earlier. But the point I'm making is that we've got to give it a shot. Storytelling is about experimenting. Storytelling is about doing things in a different way from the way you've been doing them. And my wish for all of you is after this workshop, you get some of the tools, you feel inspired and engaged enough and motivated enough to try it. Because this is something that you've got to give it a shot before you decide whether it's working or what's working and what's not for you.